I want to welcome everyone to the town board meeting for January 21st, 2020. Please rise and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence, keeping in mind the legacy of Dr. King, also keeping in our prayers the Putnam County deputy who was injured this past, I believe, weekend in the line, as well as Somers PD officer who was struck by a car during the snowstorm, and a Westchester County police officer who was also injured during that snowstorm. Thank you. Again, welcome. We're going to do introductions.
Good evening, Diana Quast, Town Clerk.
Vishnu Patel, Yorktown Councilman.
Alice Roker, Councilperson.
Matt Slater, Town Supervisor.
Tom Diana, Councilman.
Ed Lachman, Councilman.
Adam Rodriguez, Town Attorney.
All right. We had our first snowstorm of 2020 on Saturday. I think he's still resting. I want to thank our Highway Superintendent, Dave Paganelli, and his incredible staff. We had 65 employees out on Saturday, sanding, salting, plowing. They did a great job. I actually got to ride with Dave in his rig for a while. Yep. Got to see it firsthand. Yep, it was great. We did have some issues with DOT that Dave and I, that's the superintendent and I had identified. We had one accident off of the Underhill Ave exit ramp, for one example. But we have a meeting set up with the regional DOT director next month, and it's going to be one of the issues that we will be discussing with him. I also want to, since he's not here, that makes it easier, but thank Superintendent Paganelli. He brought an LED lights initiative to my office, which we're very excited to engage with. It's going to, estimated initial cost is roughly $17,000 to replace about 260 lights and switch them over to LEDs. But that will actually save us in the first year over $25,000. So we're very excited to be engaged with that. The Halleck's Mill sewer expansion. I know that there's a resolution that we're going to be discussing shortly. I did want to provide an update from our work session. Mr. Quinn, our town engineer, and I did have a conversation in a conference call with DEP on Wednesday. Once again, DEP basically characterized the project as a qualified project, but unfortunately raised similar concerns as did our partners in Westchester County. So right now we have submitted requested data to DEP from our engineering department, and we are expecting an additional meeting and next steps to be determined next month. Very excited to also share that United for the Troops, the bin is in the back. Yorktown Town Hall is a permanent collection station. They have their Operation Cupid underway. They're actually going to be packing on Saturday. It's a great organization. Jim Rathschmidt does a great job. They're going to be crossing over the 26th, I believe, thousand box. That they're, 22. 22. Well, they'll get to 26
Well,
eventually.
actually 23. They're over 22 right now.
Over 22. They'll be crossing 23,000 at some point this year. So Operation Cupid is ongoing, and then quickly we transition to March into spring. I know that we also have Kevin Burns here, who's very involved in United for the Troops. Just a great organization. You can find information on our website and all of our social media channels as well. Speaking of social media, as a reminder, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and new for Yorktown, we are now on Instagram, and we also have our own YouTube channel. So we're very excited to be developing both of those. So give us a follow, give us a share, and feel free to share some of your photos around town, and we'd be happy to post them. I want to thank a number of individuals who, if you've been upstairs and also over to the clerk's office, you'll see some changes around, which is great. We have new flooring and new paint in the clerk's office, in our finance department, as well as the supervisor's office. I want to thank, of course, Pat Caparel, Margaret Gaspuring, our entire building and maintenance staff who've been working weekends and around the clock to try to get this done as quickly as we can, and our town clerk and her staff for all of your hard work. One of the things that when Diana and I had met prior to taking office we talked about were those portraits in the back. And it's great to see that we have our supervisor portraits back in action, and I think we're going to be getting hopefully a few more, including somebody sitting next to me. But I appreciate all of that. That's fantastic to see back here in the boardroom. Our Census Committee meeting is going to take place Thursday, January 30th at 7 p.m. right here in the town boardroom. So for anyone who wants to participate, again, we had that presentation last week from our planning department. Robin Steinberg is heading that initiative up to help get the word out about the census, train people to complete the census. And so that first meeting will be on the 30th right here in the town boardroom. I also wanted to remind folks about the Yorktown Home Heating Oil Plan. I know my office has received quite a few calls about this. It's all residents of Yorktown are eligible. Once you're in the plan, members are guaranteed a reduced rate for your heating oil when they purchase it from participating companies. Residents can sign up anytime during regular business hours through my office. There's no fee to join. And if you have any additional questions, you can contact my assistant, Jenna Belcastro. You can call her at 962-5722, extension 201, or you can email jbelcastro@yorktownny.org. A bit of fun coming up in a few weeks. Yorktown Stage is going to have Pinocchio, which is going to be fun. I know I already have my tickets for Charlie, my 4-year-old. But Saturday, February 1st, they have 2 showings. One's at 11 a.m., one's at 2 p.m., and you can visit yorktownstage.org for more information. And finally, I want to thank personally the Yorktown Volunteer Ambulance Corps. They responded to an emergency my family had just yesterday. My 4-month-old is down at Maria Frere Children's Hospital in the ICU recovering from RSV, but she's doing okay. But the Yorktown Volunteer Ambulance Corps came to the rescue. They were great. Brought us out of the pediatrician, right on Keir Street, and shot us right down to Maria Frere. But I wanted to just remind, obviously, my fellow parents, RSV, it's all over the hospital right now for young kids like mine. But it doesn't just impact young children. Here from the CDC, it also impacts our seniors as well. So it's that time of year, RSV, flu. Just, if you can, make sure you're washing your hands and being safe and stay healthy. And I think that is the end of my report for now, but we have some presentations and more agenda items that I will be speaking on shortly.
Oh, now this time, are we going to?
Yeah, we're going to have Paula come up for presentations,
Okay,
and
so I'll
we
wait.
can wait for that.
Okay.
Okay, Councilman Patel, reports.
Well, I have 2 little things to tell you because I will not repeat anything anybody said it before. So let me just say that Yorktown High School has robotic competitions, and 2 teams want to go to further in Dutchess County for next month or something. And 8 years ago, we started their program. You know, it was at the gazebo. They started a little fundraising, something, the kids. And many, many of those guys, they're all the top students in the nations. You know, I have contact with the parents and all that. It was really nice that they shine and make the Yorktown proud of that one. And so I was there with the superintendent, Dryron. You know, I didn't even know, I didn't know the time, but I just happened to here, and it's only 10 minutes. I ran over there, and I did not get ticket, and I was there 1 minute before they started, okay? And then the next morning, it was really nice to see all the kids over there, you know. And I happen to know most of the parents over there because they are, you know, somehow connected with the technology and all that. Very, very good. So, you know, the piezoelectric, you know, the electric generations to save the light, it's a very old technology, but very new use, and it's really wonderful to see the kids that go, you know, that far, very young, 5, 6 years. Some of the words they speak is very difficult to pronounce, you know. So that was really wonderful. And then let me just read something I read in reference to the Martin Luther King, you know. And the hate begets hate. Violence begets violence. Toughness begets greater toughness. But we must need the forces of hate with the power of love. Martin Luther Jr. said that one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Excuse me.
Councilman Roker?
No, you want to do it later.
Yeah, no, I was going to do it when we do the resolution.
Okay, let's do it.
You want to provide a report?
No, I don't have anything.
No reports? Councilman Diana?
Okay. Thank you, Supervisor. Just anybody that may be experiencing any discolored water north, south, east, and west of Halleck's Mill and Crampon Road. There was a water main break there this afternoon. We actually had one of our shutoff valves blow the top of it right off. The guys were up there and fixed that. The shutoff valve looked like it was put in yesterday, but all the bolts had electrolysis around the top of them, and it popped right off. So they repaired that. It's all up, back in service. But if you have any discolored water, don't wash your whites. Okay. Also, we have three young fellows here from Troop 174, and they're here to get some time for their Citizenship and Community Merit Badge. This merit badge is a required merit badge for Eagle Scouts. Hey, guys, I'm going to put you on the spot. Come on up here to the podium, if you would, please.
Awesome. Let's go right over to the podium.
Go right over to the podium so you can speak in the mic.
They were just trying to get a little height on that.
Yeah, and how about you give us your names?
My name is Joshua Ehrenberg. I'm Russell Sorrentino.
I'm Jeremy Saponara.
And would one of you like to tell us what is entailed with getting your Citizenship in the Community Merit Badge? Nobody wants to tell us. I don't blame you.
So for this specific requirement, we have to choose an issue that comes to our attention and then write about the issue and what our opinion is on how to help it.
Okay.
Awesome.
That's great. Now, what you're going to see here tonight is what you're going to pick your writing about. Let's say we talk about, I don't know, water main breaks. So you'll pick that and you'll write about that up, and then you'll submit that to the council. Is that how that works?
Yes.
Okay. All righty. Have anybody else want to ask any questions of us while you're up there? Or?
Though I want to ask something to the board. These guys has to go to school tomorrow, so let's tell them as soon as we finish, so this way they can go home and ask us questions after half an hour or so. They
And you
back
can
to work.
always
Yeah.
look at it tomorrow during the day when you get home from school.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Any questions of us at all before you go back to your seats?
Thanks for coming by, guys.
Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's all I got.
All right. So first, I'd like to start and just wish the gentleman to my right a happy birthday.
Great.
Thank you.
So we
Thank
can
you,
embarrass
everybody.
him a little
Thank
bit.
Oh, wait,
29
how
again.
old are
29.
you now?
20,
He's
29.
29 for the 35th year.
It's amazing how that works.
Sort of reminds me of 5th grade. I'd like to mention, since Matt, you were talking about flu and all, they have actually identified the first case of the Wuhan coronavirus in the United States. The CDC, yes, in I think it was in Washington State. So it is coming. It is so important to make sure washing your hands as often as possible. Be careful with contact, because that is passed on strictly through human contact, and you need to really, take care of yourself and be well there. We had gotten a letter forwarded to us from Joel Friedman, the executive director of the Yeshiva Yaakov down here, and that was for Police Officer Caprio, Woodard, and also the chief on the citizen response to active shooter events. Really great program. I know we had it here. It was on the loop. I guess we could ask Tom if that's still available. It was a phenomenal program. They did that down at the yeshiva. They were extremely ecstatic about it. With everything happening in the world today, it's all about being prepared. So I highly recommend. I think we've done it in quite a few of the religious houses here, and there are a couple that we're looking to have it done again. So if you get the opportunity, I highly recommend it. And then Finally, just the announcement that the Lions have chosen their groups for the concerts. So there'll be a concert in June, one concert in July, and then 4 in August. It goes by the availability of the Yorktown stage due to rainouts, but looks like a really, really good mix this year, including a Neil Diamond tribute and a Journey tribute band, which we haven't had. Yep, and locally, Class Action will be there as well this year.
Very nice.
I hear they got a good trumpeter.
They have a pretty good trumpeter. Yes. The Soul Judge, as he's called.
The Soul Judge.
Perfect. Does I'm not sure. Did Highway Superintendent Paganelli submit a report?
No, we didn't.
It's not snowing. That'll
That's his report.
All right. Great. I'm going to invite our poet laureate to the podium.
Thank you. At the last general meeting, I planned to read something that was a little more humorous, but then reality got in the way, and I wrote about the vandalism. Before the end of the year, the person that coordinates one of the writing groups that I'm in asked us to come up with a resolution that might help us during the year in our writing. 2020 writing resolutions. I'll write a new poem every day. Gee, that's a lot. Maybe every other day or 2 a week. I'll submit a poem every week for publication. Well, that means research, editing, a lot of tedious work, maybe just more submissions than this year. I'll read the book of poetry every week. That sounds like a lot of reading when I could be writing. Maybe just more than last year. Or better yet, read every one that I buy. This planning is tiring. I think I'll take a nap.
Thank you, John. Presentations. Paula, do you mind coming to the podium? Kenny, you want to go up too? Yeah, bring your whole crew. Come on. Guys, all come up, please.
What are you videoing?
Look at this thing.
I think
Holy
that
cow.
is so beautiful. Oh my God.
Is it? Oh, yeah. So, Paula, why don't you, as we pass this around, why don't you go to the podium
And
and
us
tell
what
everyone
it's about.
what we're showing off here that
Holy
now
crow.
is home in Yorktown?
Okay, our organization, my brother Vinny, was in Washington, D.C. this weekend, and we were chosen by the Academy of United States Veterans for an award for work with homeless veterans. So we received the Betty
Awesome.
Award, which is like their equivalent. Thank you. It's a national award, so it would be like their equivalent of like their Academy Award. But there was organizations from all over the country that were there, and it was a 2-day event, and we went to D.C. and we were really excited to win. It was such a humbling experience to be amongst so many like the military generals, and just to meet. We met a Navy SEAL from SEAL Team 6.
Wow.
We got to spend some, and then I have Wayne Reese, our fake colonel. But it's like to talk to them about the work we do, and then to meet HUD directors, the head of United States Veteran Affairs. It was humbling to us, and we're up to 991 homes furnished free of charge, all volunteer. So we love the town of Yorktown. Vinny was born in Yorktown. Even when you see the news store, you see him with his little Yorktown Heights shirt on it.
Yeah?
My mother got that at the A&P years ago at the supermarket. And I remember her buying it, going, Ma, you bought him the sweatshirt from the supermarket. But I loved it because it said Yorktown. And Yorktown's been so good to us. The whole entire town, from the Lions Club, the town council, the supervisor, we were like born and raised in Yorktown. It's our town. And I mean, Yorktown self-storage, like they give us such a good deal on our storage because, right? Like, seriously, like it's crazy. And but I mean, Ed, everybody's just helped us so much, so we're thankful. And Kenny, he's Mr. Yorktown, my family, my mom, Clara, Terry, Mary Ellen. We have Kyle and Justin, our youngest volunteers, have been amazing. Alexandra's our super youngest volunteer.
Awesome.
Susan and Dina.
Awesome.
So we thank you guys. It was amazing.
Well,
It was so
can you
exciting.
tell us how our residents can get more involved with your organization?
For one thing, you can visit us on our social media, Facebook, our website. We have a walkathon in April. My brother Vinny walk, and since Vinny couldn't walk in life, I love the beauty of a walkathon because I feel like we walk for him. At this point, we're not taking a lot of furniture from the general public because we liquidate hotels for our surplus. But we need bedding, None of us have salaries. We're all volunteers. So although we have an amazing deal at Yorktown Self Storage, it still costs us a couple $1,000s a month. So we do rely on donations from the public. Volunteer hours. You may have someone, the Scouts. We're a good place to volunteer hours, and anytime you want to come on a veteran move with us, when we go into a home, these veterans have absolutely nothing. There's nothing in place for furniture, pretty much throughout the whole entire country. They get housed, and we go and give them the whole entire setup free of charge. We don't take a tip. We don't take a salary. Wayne is veteran number 190.
Yeah, Wayne.
Wayne.
It's like we become a family, right, Wayne? And rain or shine, snow or cold weather, we always say at the end of the day, what day is it?
Best day ever. That's right.
And I'm like, it's an easy day, and I have them at the 4 o'clock. I'm like, hey, it's an easy day. We go to Brooklyn, Queens. I mean, if you ever want to come on a mission, you don't have to lift anything. I'm the general, the fake general. I don't lift anything as much.
Yeah.
But anybody can come. Doesn't matter what your ability is. You can talk to a veteran. And Kyle and Justin have been amazing for our youngest volunteers. They've been fantastic. Like our youngest lifting volunteers. Alex, you're one of my youngest. But they've been amazing. They come and how wonderful they are is I trust them with the truck.
Whoa.
Huge. They drive now. I'll drive the minivan. I let them go to Brooklyn, but they've been amazing. So I thank you guys for inviting us here.
Oh, well, thank
we
you.
We love Yorktown. And come to our walkathon April 26th. We'll be soon over 1,000 veterans. And we really hope the community supports us because we love what we do.
And the walkathon's over at FDR Park.
FDR Park.
Right. And I got to tell you, Paula, we've worked together for a number of years, and I've loved your mission.
Thank you.
For a long time. I've seen people like Wayne and the impact you have on their lives. And when I think about the values of this town and the values of this community, I mean, your organization is the epitome of that. And so I was so thrilled to see you get the award. I saw the pictures on Facebook. That's why.
You prompted the news to contact. I work for DEP, so when I heard you saying DEP up here, I'm a DEP employee. So the news called me. I'm like, well, technically I can have a lunch break. So I ran outside, took the award, and ran out.
Yep.
It was on the DEP tour.
Oh, there you go. There you go. You're literally like Superwoman over here. She's got a 9-to-5 job, and then on the weekend she's literally saving lives. And it's something that's just so special. I know that we've got a lot of hardware up here that we're gonna present to you. Nothing as nice as this, but I know that my colleagues want to say a few words as well. Councilman Patel.
Paula, may I present to you on behalf of the Senator Peter Harkins, honoring Paula Mary Telly for her dedicated assistance. And I'm not going to read all these things.
Thank you.
English is no good. I started my alphabet when I was in 8th grade, but math and science, as soon as I was born, I memorized many of these things. So I present to you on behalf of the New York State Senate and to your entire troops, okay?
Thank you.
And look, this is something you and you are everywhere, okay?
Thank you. Even Diana's son's been on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't go anywhere. You might as well stay right there.
No, don't go away. Okay.
Okay, Paula, I'm going to give you an award from our new county legislator, Vidat Gashi. And I want to read one of the paragraphs, which says, whereas the veterans have a profound sense of pride, but welcome the services and care provided by my brother, Vinny. As Paula has said, they are not offering a hand out. They are offering a hand in friendship and support. My brother Vinny is a 100% volunteer organization that serves the entire Hudson Valley region, New York City and beyond, engaging volunteers from all ages, ethnicities, and community, helping mankind one good deed at a time. And I am so proud to know
You, Assemblyman Burns? Kevin Burns.
Kevin Burns is there.
Voted him, huh?
How about this one?
No, that's just paper.
Oh,
Paula, we have. I think you know Councilman Lachterman pretty well.
Nice to meet you, Paula.
How are you?
I am doing great.
You can
So
get it. All right,
we have here a citation from the New York State Assembly on behalf of Assemblyman Kevin Byrne. And I would like to read something because, especially for our scouts out there, this truly, to me, having caught something that I've always said about Paula. She jokes about being the general on the moves, but Paula serves as an example to the community through her selflessness, leadership, and commitment to service, and has made her family, community, and country very proud. And all of your friends just really love what you do, and we support you 100%.
And Paula, last but not least, it's actually, I got to tell you, it's my first proclamation that I get to hand out as supervisor. So it's extra special to me. But like I said to you earlier, when I think of the values that Yorktown stands for, I think of people like you.
Yes.
I think of your family. I think of your organization. And I know that you are doing amazing work and changing people's lives, and that's what it's about. So I'm not going to read it, but again, on behalf of our entire community, just know how proud we are, how proud your hometown is of you and everything that you've accomplished and everything that you're going to accomplish. It means an awful lot to us. All right. You guys want to keep a group photo?
And although I didn't have anything to hand out on this on this round, I do have to say that I had reached out to Paula on one or two occasions. One of our veterans groups was looking for coats to donate to the VA, and she says, "Please come on down, because we got plenty of coats for them. They can bring them down there and get them dispersed." And I thank you so much for what you do to this community, for this community, and for our veterans.
Awesome. Come on, we're going to get a quick group photo.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Where? No, you come on. Okay. Come on. It's a team effort. You know that. Come on. It's the whole team up here. Come on, Wayne. We got everybody? Sir, do you mind actually? Hey, you want to come on this side? On this side. Come on down here with us, gang. All right, here we go. Everyone in? Wait, hold on. By the way,
We're a full-service law firm.
careful. There we go. Ready? You guys go.
All right. I think I got everyone. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Wait, Alice, let's part of the tour.
Huh?
You guys take a
Go get a nice one.
Okay.
I'm taking it on a Betty's tour.
That's great.
You too, Diana.
Yeah.
Diana, I mean, you know what I mean.
Sorry, Alice. I didn't mean to take you out.
It's on a Betty tour now.
Part of the tour.
Who are we looking at? This one too?
Yeah. Let's do it. All right, don't want to
This way?
Yeah. All right. 1, 2, 3. Betty.
So I actually had a couple of questions, which are, every so often I like to throw a softball out there. I know Trissy Kushner, we've done that for you a couple times with Ask. Paula, you mentioned the storage, but you guys also need to buy beds for the veterans?
Yes, we buy beds.
Okay, don't you do like a buy-a-bed type thing that if someone wanted to contribute through?
Yeah, so the other needs besides furniture that we need help with is beds. So it costs us about $325 to give a veteran a queen-size bed. We buy them Zenith beds or the rolled-up mattresses with the platform frame and bedding and pillows. If we average over 20 veterans a month, we probably purchase 10 beds a month. or half the majority of it. But that's a lot of money when we're paying $2,600 in storage. And everything is on donation like that. So beds are important. We have an Amazon wish list on our website. You could shop for like Corel, stuff directly. It gets directly shipped to Yorktown Self-Storage for us. That's huge.
And you guys are on Amazon Smile too as a
Yeah,
beneficiary?
we're Amazon Smile charity as well. But our website has the link. It's direct ship. And also Macy's in Yorktown is making us their Roundup charity.
Oh, no.
So if you go shopping from February 1st to the 15th, they round up to the dollar. Last year we got $1,900, which is huge.
Wow.
Right, for rounding.
Oh,
that
that's
covered
helpful.
almost a whole month of storage.
Absolutely.
That's,
We-
that's fantastic.
we need to
Plus
make sure we
my
tell
Betty outfit
Rosie.
was all Macy's. I went there yesterday to show them. I did. I went to Macy's and showed them the pictures. It was all, yeah.
I'll make sure we tell Rosie because they know her by name when she
Oh,
walks
yeah.
to the store. And the last thing I know when you go outside you don't think about it, but if anyone's replacing their air conditioners
love air
and
conditioners.
have a decent working air conditioner,
Yes.
do you have a need for those?
Yes, I will take air conditioners in a polar vortex because we need it downstairs. Because we can
Okay.
store it. It gets so hot, people don't realize you go in your home and it's so hot, it gets hot fast. Or if you have a lung issue, the climate, it could be a little bit hotter and it cleans the air out for them. So air conditioners, I will take. I'll ship Kenny back to my boyfriend. He can do all the running year round. He's usually
Sorry,
an air
Ken.
conditioner pickup. Yeah.
You just put them to work. It's okay.
But no, but air conditioner, things like that, we would love. And even like we get our hotel liquidations give us the lamps, the sofas, and everything like that. But we would take lamps from you. If you have
Awesome.
smaller things, we would take it. You want to clean out dishes? We'll take matching sets. I just like nice stuff for the veterans, like nothing chipped or stained. But I mean, they love it and they really appreciate. They've all heard of Yorktown. They all know if you.
And you said queen size beds you usually do?
Queen-size bed,
So beddings would
yeah.
be bedding also if you had that?
Yeah,
or?
bedding. No used bedding.
Sealed bedding.
Sealed bedding.
Because like we had some stuff sealed we gave to you a while back.
Yeah,
that
but now we don't.
changed our
Now
bed.
unless it has to be new, because I had a bronchial infection from smelling it when people said it was clean, and I have I have an asthma pump now, so no, all brand new.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I think I threw most of the softballs at you.
April 26th is our walk, so I hope everybody comes out and
April
walks.
26th.
And we don't
At
charge anybody to
FDR.
come. It's free. We have tons of raffles at FDR Park, and it's. I mean, I'm doing a lot
And
of
the Lions will also be cooking.
Lions will be cooking
And you can wish Carol and I a happy anniversary as we cook
because it's our
our hot
anniversary
dogs.
weekend. And the one last thing is we're trying to get a new van. We have our minivan. The Lions helped us with years ago, so we'll have the ways people donate towards a new van. Because we need a van because we hustle so far. We have a van, a minivan, a trailer, but we're all over. And sometimes we have to go back and load up and go back. And Wayne, when I tell him it's an easy day, I keep him at the 5 o'clock. I'm like, it ain't that easy, but we kill
best
ourselves.
day.
Best day ever.
Best day ever.
Guys, best day
Awesome.
ever. Totally. Thank you.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. All right, next on the agenda, we're going to invite Alliance for Safe Kids to the podium. Oh, Adam didn't put it back right?
The wizard behind the curtain over there.
Yeah. Adam, if you're going to move things, you got to know where to put them back.
You know, the whole time I was worried about the.
Does it look good, Tom?
Hey, how you doing?
Now it does, he said.
Thank you.
How are you? No, that goes in. Marks on the floor.
How are you? Seeing you, yeah?
Hello. Thank you.
There you go.
Excuse me, no
Thank
comment. This is very complex.
That's good. That's good.
Serge, I think I found a new job for you. Sound.
You're here.
Sound.
Maintenance.
Yeah, great.
Thank you, Sergio. Good evening, everyone. My name is Liz Talbert, and I'm with the Alliance for Safe Kids here in Yorktown. And I am pleased to be here tonight to share information about some upcoming events that are filling the next few months and to talk about some partnerships also, both of which support our mission to connect the community to resources on youth mental health, the prevention of substance abuse, and thoughtful service. Before, I know Kira Brunner, our volunteer coordinator, handed out some information to you. I don't want you to get distracted by that QR code. We're going to talk about that last. But before I go forward into talking about the upcoming events, I just wanted to add and remind the community that the Alliance for Safe Kids, our federal funding, our largest source of revenue, expired in October of 2018. So we have been working with an extremely limited budget working very closely with volunteers and community partners to continue to put the programs forth that some of which I'm going to mention to you. And we have some sponsorship opportunities that I will talk about. So businesses and individuals, who may be interested in supporting Ask can find ways to do that. And I'm going to talk about our walk that we're having for the first time, our first annual hashtag Walk the Talk. And it's a fundraising. It's a fundraising event. We decided we really needed to do something to try to generate some revenue for ourselves, because everything that we have been doing for the community has been free of charge. Like the 10th annual Save a Life event, for instance, that's coming up, is free of charge. So again, I just want to put it out there that we really do need support from the community if we're going to be able to continue at the level that we have been. You have lots of information in front of you. I wanted to make everyone aware that this Thursday we have our Parent Support Network meeting, which is held in Yorktown. We partnered with the Youth Mental Health Project almost 2 years ago, and we introduced the Parent Support Network in May, and it has been well attended since then. And this is a group that gets together. It's just parents and caregivers that may be experiencing, that have a youth in their home that may be experiencing some mental health issues. And it's not led by a professional, although the facilitator is trained by the Youth Mental Health Project. But it's really just individuals coming together to support one another, share ideas, and share resources. So we've been very happy to have filled that need in Yorktown, and hope that we may continue with that. So that is this Thursday, and I do have flyers in the back of the room as well. Then next month, we partnered with the Hart Library and Student Assistance Services, and we'll be offering a free vaping presentation for adults in the community. And I think that we can all agree that the vaping epidemic is something that we hear about daily in the news, and it's changing so quickly. And unfortunately, our youth are definitely 4 to 5 steps ahead of us consistently with finding different ways to conceal their vaping and finding new devices to use. I mean, I have heard of a 5th grader that was vaping in a local school. It's going on the school buses. It's very easy for the youth to conceal it. I mean, just a Juul, for instance, can fit in the palm of your hand, and that's a vaping device. The Juul is a brand, but it can fit right in the palm of your hand, and so you really can't see it. Then there are companies marketing to the youth in ways that would just, you could just Google it and find some of these things. But I mean, I've seen sweatshirts where the device is built into it, and so it can just look like a kid is kind of chewing on the sweatshirt string when they're actually vaping. So this is a really great opportunity for the adults to come out and get some really good information from the Student Assistance Services counselors from Yorktown High School and Lakeland High School that will be leading the presentation. They're also going to do a bit of a hidden in plain sight presentation, so you'll really be able to have the hands-on experience with a lot of the concealment items as well as vaping devices. So we're really happy to have partnered with both Student Assistance Services and the the John C. Hart Library. So then the following month in March is our 10th annual Save a Life, and it is on March 22nd, Sunday, March 22nd, from 12 to 4 at Yorktown High School. Once again, we have a wonderful keynote speaker, Stephen Hill, who has actually been to the Lakeland School District 2 years ago. We partnered to bring him in, and he connected so well to with all of the students as he shared his personal story of addiction and how he came out on the other side. And so he connected very well with the students, but then I also attended his parent presentation. And it was really important for the parents to hear how he started in the 8th grade with just getting high a couple of times and learning what his path was, and just being armed with that information when they're, thinking about their own children and keeping them protected. So in addition to the keynote speaker, then we offer 2 different tracks of workshops for adults and students. So we have 8 different student workshops that the students may sign up for in advance when they register online, and we'll have 3 different adult workshops. And then in addition to that, we have about 3 dozen exhibitors that will be coming to Save a Life. And what we do to make sure that all of the adults and students interact with the exhibitors that come out is that we actually schedule one of the workshop periods to be a time for them to be in the exhibit hall. So then it's worthwhile for them to be there, the exhibitors to be there, and then the students and of course the adults really, have the opportunity to meet and engage with those that are there. And sometimes that exhibit hall can act like little mini workshops, because if someone is there to talk about, youth mental health, they could be sharing information and interacting in a way that is just so much more than just picking up a brochure and moving on. So it's March 22nd. 12 to 4 at Yorktown High School. Registration goes live on February 1st. And if anyone has any questions, I also have business cards on the back table. I'd be happy to answer anything, and I encourage you to get in touch with me. So when talking about Save a Life and then the walk that I mentioned, we put together a sponsorship package this year that would support both the Save a Life and the walk in a way, or what I should say is the sponsors would have the opportunity to have their support shown at both events, because you would have sponsors would have signage at each event, and on the event T-shirts and ads in our community resource guide. And so it's just really a very unique opportunity to support ASK and really get the word out there that you believe in this community organization and want it to remain. Then the walk is on April 18th, and I'm going to let Kira speak a little bit about that. But I'm sorry, before I do that, I just wanted to mention also we're offering a youth mental health first aid course immediately following Save a Life. So that's an 8-hour training for not professionals, for the lay people, for the bus drivers, for you, for any adult who comes in contact with youth. And it's an 8-hour training. And it doesn't train you to treat, it trains you to recognize signs and symptoms and to feel more confident about connecting someone to resources. And I see Ed nodding his head because I know he's been through this training and knows how valuable it is.
Absolutely. It was some of the stories the case stories that you share in that are amazing, but you had the one gentleman who came in and was a keynote speaker at the Save a Life, and it was very, very impactful.
Kevin Hines.
Yes. And I'm getting emotional thinking about it now because it's just such. You see the struggles that someone has, and Kevin was just so open and honest, and even the video that he had. But then seeing him live, the advantage of the Save a Life is just absolutely amazing.
Well, he was actually featured on CBS this past Sunday, and
That's great.
I remembered when I went through the training and I watched his short video clip and how that impacted me and how that made me want to get on the phone and call him and bring him to Yorktown for that Save Life. And when I watched him on Sunday morning, I was as moved as I was the first time, because his message is very simple. He just flat out says, if one person would have paid attention to me, I would not have jumped off the bridge that day.
You know what? I just said to myself when I watched it this Sunday was that if he lived in Yorktown, someone would have said, "Good morning, how are you?"
Right.
And he said, if just one person would have said something to me, I wouldn't have done it.
Yes.
Well, and actually what was really more impactful, he decided to kill himself. He was going to throw himself off the Golden Gate Bridge. And he said if one person, as he was about to climb up, someone runs up to him, this blonde-headed lady, and she's like, excuse me. And he's like, oh, my God, my life was saved. This is amazing. Can you take my picture? And he was literally, he said he was just so distraught at that moment going into it. And at that point, he just realized that, I'm just going to do it. And he was saved by dolphins, actually, keeping him afloat. It's just an amazing, amazing story.
His story really is amazing. And then he has made it his life's work to talk about mental health and to try to remove the stigma so that we are more supportive of one another. And that's what this training, again, it just teaches you to recognize signs and symptoms. But I just want to point out, so we're talking about this amazing person who has made an impact on millions. We brought him to Yorktown. And that's what we, as the Alliance for Safe Kids, wants to be able to continue to do, to connect amazing resources like that to everyone in the community. And that day when he was on stage, he had told me that he would help at a workshop. So I was tasked with kind of moving him along, and there was no way I could do that because the line up the aisle to the stage for people to come and share a few words, cry with him, hug him, just went on. So that was so impactful. Again, this is what it's so important.
And I want to give a shout out because I see Dara's back doing it again
Yes.
too, who's a resident and just phenomenal resource.
Both Karen Profita
Okay.
and
Is
Dara
Karen-
Caputo
okay.
are both on our Ask board, have been volunteers for years. They volunteer to do these trainings for us. So again, this is a community coming together to help the community even further.
Yeah.
Even further. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Kira Brunner. I think some of you already know her. And Kira is going to talk a little bit more about the walk, and then you can look at the business card and if you want to.
Yes. Well, good evening. It's good to see you all again. So yes, like Liz mentioned, we have hashtag Walk the Talk coming in April 18th. It's right around the corner, which we're really excited about. And I just wanted to mention just a few things that are going to be happening at hashtag Walk the Talk. The first is something that makes this walk a little bit different, and it's not a competitive walk at all. It's a way for our community to get the resources that are at Save Life. By walking and really putting into motion. This is what I learned. This is what we talked about at Save a Life, and now I'm going to walk it. I'm going to have this information and be able to use it, on a day-to-day basis where I feel like it needs to be. So, like a traditional walk or a marathon, you would see some water tables. Not that we're going to, not have water and food at the event, but in addition to those tables, we are going to have what we are calling caring stations. And at those caring stations, it's just going to be very interactive, and it's just going to be a snippet of information that at the end of the walk, the walkers can get more information on specific topics that they want to. And a lot of those exhibitors that will be at the end will be at Save a Life as well. So you're really getting at both events some really valuable information. So we're really excited about those caring stations. And then at the end, I mentioned we're going to have exhibitors and tables, different organizations there being able to have more information about what they do and hotlines and text lines that they can connect our community to. And that's part of our Community That Cares celebration. So at the end of the walk, we're going to have food and water, and we're going to have prizes. We are going to have we're calling it Volunteer of the Year Awards, which I am so thrilled about. I get to work with volunteers. I'm the volunteer coordinator at Alliance for Safe Kids. So to be able to now award volunteers and show them that we appreciate them so much. So all local organizations and groups within Yorktown are going to be able to nominate volunteers and allow them to be recognized for their hard work and for their dedication that they put in. So we are super excited about that, and that's going to be at the end of the walk. So something to look forward to as we walk around FDR.
And people can sponsor. We need to talk a little bit about that. That there is it is a fundraiser, so people can be sponsors. It's in the
exactly, and we have some really great ways that families can sponsor, that businesses and individuals as well can sponsor. And again, registration starts on February 1st, so just in a week and a half or less than that maybe. So there's some great information on how people can get involved. And I just to say personally, I've been involved with ASK for more than 5 years, probably 7. I was in high school. I've interned with them throughout my college years, and this organization has not only impacted my life because I want to work in nonprofits, but to see. I wasn't going to go.
Doing great.
Tonight.
You're doing great.
But I really want to stress to everyone that this organization can't go away.
Right.
It is so important to the youth, for the families, for individuals, for businesses. We work with every sector, and it's so important that we all work together. So I'm going to hold it together and move on, but I really just want to get that point across. the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is QR codes. I would say, I think in November we were here, which is crazy. It feels like just yesterday. Yes, we partnered with the Yorktown Police Department and put QR codes on a palm card. And with that, we came up with the idea. We were like, oh, we have the back of our business card that's blank. That is like such wasted space. We need to add a QR code there. So when we give our business cards out to people, they can also be connected to all these resources in our community resource guide that we have here. And we actually partnered with you guys, the Yorktown, the town board, sorry. And you guys are now, we have our QR code on your business cards, and we are so proud of that and so excited because it's just another way in which we can connect our community to resources that are just so valuable. And so I just want to make another statement to any businesses, individuals. If we would love to work with you to put our QR code and it could be, resources that you want. It doesn't have to be what's already been modeled, but it's just another way that we can get our information out there and these, such valuable and such important information. Just another way to spread that throughout Yorktown. So we're very excited, and we're also working on a PSA for the town as well. So some really exciting things that these QR codes are taking us. And so yes, we're super excited. Thank you.
Sure. So I got my business cards.
Yes.
And I didn't even look at the front. I just went straight to the back, and there it is.
Fantastic.
And Jenna, my assistant, has it on her card as well. Yeah. And we're trying, like you said, to integrate it through the entire town.
I'm going to order mine this week, so
perfect.
I finally am running
And
out
this
of money.
way, when you hand it to somebody, it's not just your information, but you get the community resource guide right in the back end, which is
Community resource guide, our playbook for thoughtful service, and also the police palm card as well. So, those are three great, amazing resources. And so, thank you so much.
Oh, listen, thank you.
Really,
thank you for doing this. It's awesome. Great job.
That's on the map.
This was born in about 40 years ago in Yorktown, okay?
Yes.
At IBM Research.
Okay.
This is a different format, okay?
Yes.
It's physical science.
Wow.
Just keep up the great work. We're here to support you any way we can, to partner with you. We know how, I can just say personally, I know how important the organization is. I think everyone on the board recognizes the importance of your organization, and we're not going to let it go anywhere. So just keep up the great work and know that we have your back.
Thank you so much.
And Kira, quick question, just
Yes,
from because
sure.
I'm looking and saying, hey, an ad in the community resource guide. I think we'd like to do that with my massage studio. Does that when you use a QR code, that comes up on a PDF, so everything's in there?
Yes. So I
the ad-
just download the QR code and it turns into a PDF, and then I can send it to you. And,
No. What I'm saying, if I have an ad, will it come up on the? Because from any business people out there, I see the head of our Chamber of Commerce out there. It's definitely an added value to not only be in the paper version of the book, but the QR code of the book.
Oh, yes. So
That-
on our
that was
digital
my-
version.
that was my softball.
I'm so sorry.
Good softball.
The reach is vast. It really
Right.
is for
So-
any advertisements in the
So that's tremendous. So every time the supervisor hands out his card, he's going to be advertising my business.
Yes.
I'll have a check dropped off tomorrow.
So that was one of the most important parts to relay is that QR code takes you to the most current version of every hotline, every text resource, every crisis line resource, every resource that we can possibly connect anyone to. We love that it goes to the Yorktown community, but it goes way beyond. So we have Google Analytics that are actually called QR code analytics that come back and tell us who's actually pulling up that QR code.
Really?
We don't. So far, we're not able to tell exactly where they're going from that, which resource they're using. But we can tell not the individual, but we can tell the location and how many times the hit is happening. And it has been so far international. That just from that one QR code,
Awesome.
and that at all times, just that QR code takes you to the current resource, but takes you to, again, all of the organizations, anyone who supports that community resource guide. It takes all year long. So your one sponsorship, that is your sponsorship for the Save a Life. That is several hundred people in Yorktown that we're connecting directly to empower them to bring resources into the community. It connects you to the walk, which is from age stroller to as old as anyone would care to come and attend. And so and then in addition to that, the QR code, which will go for an entire year. So it's a wonderful bang for your buck if that's what you're measuring. And at the same point, we are in a situation where without federal funding has always been able to help us have a director and have someone to help organize volunteers. We work with youth. We really are, there is no way to just have volunteers in the community organize work with the amount of youth that we do without at least having one point person that is organizing and directing it and making sure that everyone's following the not just rules, but the guidelines that keep our youth safe. It is what we're about. And we can't, as much as we want to continue and move forward with just volunteers, we would not be able to in the same manner that we do. And then I just wanted to mention as well, we were talking about recognizing the volunteers, and I want to just reiterate how important that connecting our youth and connecting our families to service, what that does for our community, and how that connectedness is so much beyond the service. It's the feeling. It is what makes a community what it is. And Paula, one of the first times that we ever said we were going to recognize volunteers, she's like, I remember her calling back and saying, please, please give us the opportunity to recognize more than one volunteer because it's impossible at your organization and certainly others. And so Kira even built in a process where you can recognize more than one volunteer. And I just wanted to mention that connection.
Yeah,
yes.
There you go.
Yes. Exactly, and it's like a mom trying to pick between her children when you have really good volunteers. So I just cannot say it. I know that we mentioned it a couple months ago, but without state and federal funding, we have to decide: is this something that locally families and businesses will do what we can to make sure that we have a direction for this, and not just, and that we're not just the resource guide. We'll always have the resources. We will update them because volunteers can do that. But for the last couple of weeks, we've met from the 1 o'clock until 7 and 8 at night, meeting with Y students who are doing their individual senior experiences, connecting them and networking them into their area of their area that they have passion for, both for their career and also for their community, and so that they have a balance in life and that they take those tools with them. We couldn't do those types of interviews and that type of work if we didn't have a location to do it and someone who's working directly with the teachers, working directly with the volunteers and scheduling them. And so there's wonderful things that are done with volunteers, but in our case, for our organization, without some type of direction or coordinating, we would not be able to continue as we are forward.
Trissy,
That's it. Yes.
now,
Softballs.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So let's take out the impact on all the kids who just learn from the educational stuff in the schools and all. And how many actually come through on a yearly basis that learn about community service, that get out there and do events with you? Because I know I see you guys come to the Lions concert with a tent of like 35 kids.
Right.
So how many kids do you impact?
This is the beautiful plan behind the plan. Our school districts, who we work with so closely, they I don't want to say that they mandate it, but they absolutely communicate from our children, as well as our faith-based organizations, everyone. But they absolutely communicate to them and this is true, the value of service on your resume and on your college resume and beyond your college resume, on your job resume. That's people hire and they accept you into colleges if they think you're going to do something for their college community, and if you're going to and people hire you if they think you're going to be wonderful in their work environment, not just because you're smart. And so our schools do such an amazing job of really encouraging them, and yet the schools are teaching all day. They can't teach and then say, so let's talk about all the different ways you can get involved in your community. They need the community to come in and partner with that and help with that, but they need it done in an organized way, and a way that keeps their children, the youth, safe. And that's what we have been to this community, and that's what we want to continue to be. So number-wise, I can only tell you thousands and thousands and thousands, and I've watched what it's done for my own children who were, when I started with this organization, they were second grade, third grade, fifth grade. They're now in college and applying to law school. But that's not saying mine. I'm just saying I've watched it with all of their friends.
Yeah.
And I think so. Liz's son is also the same age as my oldest son. We have absolutely watched this for years before they came through, but as they've come through, it's been like a wave. And when we met with students all day today, we could recommend to them different students to talk to that are either graduates or at FIT or graduates or they're in medical school, and talk to them about what the MCAT is and talk to them about what the LSATs are like. That's what a wonderful community can do for each other. And I think everyone wants to, but you need the connectors. And without, really having a director and a coordinator, even just on whatever level we can do it, those connections are not going to be what they should be for our community.
So you can say a few words.
Can I, Paula, would you come up and stand next to Chrissy?
Leave the trophy.
Extra muscles after that.
As a kid, we were told don't talk about places you volunteer and you work at. And so I don't, and I haven't. I do have the one thing in Yorktown that I'm really proud about, which is the Rotary Club. And we try as often as we can to support you financially, because we know you've got to be able to pay someone to help work. You've got to be able to pay rent on the storage spot. But I just wanted to tell people who don't know about you or who are new to the community what you mean to this community. Not every community wants to lift up the ones who are most in need. And the idea that you take children and lift them up, you take veterans who we owe so much to, so much to. I just want to thank you. You have always been you are always an angel to me. You are all, I am honored to live in the community that you're in, because you really do take care of the community. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for all you do for our community. Next on the presentations, we have Vision 2020, a community transition team presentation. I think Tristy's coming back up. Yeah, and I'm happy to provide it. So, as everyone, if everyone's going to join you at the podium, I'm just really happy to just provide a brief overview of what this is. So, as anyone who sits in this table knows, taking elected office is no small feat, and making sure that you have all the tools that you can possibly find and all the resources you can possibly find is critical. And I got to tell you, I was so just honored and blessed to have a number of people who, thank you, Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
Who were willing to help me as I prepared to take office. We met a number of times. This was a bipartisan community transition team. I talked about them during our swearing-in ceremony. I can't say enough about these people. They're small business owners, they're corporate executives, they're not-for-profit leaders. Just like we've seen a few times already tonight, they are people from our community. They're people who know this community. And we came into this with eyes wide open, no political agendas, and the conversations were phenomenal. And the things that we discussed, it was one of those instances where several of those instances where we swore it was only going to be an hour, and 3 hours later we were still there looking for more coffee. But that's because I think you just saw the passion that everyone involved had for the community. You saw the knowledge that we brought to the table, again, from private sector, public sector. Every corner of town had someone sitting there. We had school board members, former school board members, and it really covered the gamut. And so when you're taking on a position like this one, like I've done through the supervisor's office, it's just so important to surround yourself with people who you can rely on and who are going to give you the honest truth. Absolutely. And I got to tell you, thank you. I would not have been nearly as prepared as I think I have been without these amazing people. They put together this incredible report that I think we're going to talk about tonight, and I can't wait to hear all of your input and thoughts as well. Okay. Trissy. So, by the way, and Trissy and Pete Lanza were our co-chairs of this great team. Also, I want to mention Barney Malloy as well, who played a pivotal role. And I know he was here earlier. I think he had to scoot out, but Barney played a pivotal role in organizing this as well.
Yes, and I think Pete and I will both agree that even though we chaired it, that this was absolutely a group effort. We just kind of took a role as a point person in case we needed to communicate through one of us. But I mean, at least my thoughts were what we wanted to do tonight was just kind of present you with the initial report, and obviously we 100% want to make everything available to the public, make it how it is our report to the supervisor. So we're going to kind of leave it that way and then follow up however you'd like us to. The thing I wanted to mention, just because this was not something I had ever heard of Yorktown doing before, it was, and I just wanted to, so I feel like the community may want to know just a little bit about how it happened. Because
yeah, please.
That was that Pete and I were both saying, let's just let the community know that we had received a phone call in November, and we just kind of said from this newly elected supervisor who wanted to gather a group of community members to meet with him a few times before he takes office in January. He wanted this community transition team to share thoughts so that he could gather feedback on both short-term and long-term items that could best serve the community of Yorktown. So I just felt it was so important. So we met November 21st, December 12th, December 19th. That was it. One time we met to edit because we just, John, we had to pull out our English books. Yes. So that our real common goal that we probably entered into but grew as through the meetings was just our absolute passion for the community where we live and wanting to do anything to support this community. That 100% we did not know each other. We did not know many of the other members, and that was wonderful. We had various areas of interest, various political parties, ages from 23 to 70 up. Mm-hmm. There were recent residents, long-term, lifelong residents who had been here for generations, and what we really did is we came together to talk about the strengths and weaknesses and the opportunities and the threats that we saw as community members. Not having we don't sit on the committees. I mean, a few people had a little certainly more knowledge than everybody kind of brought something to the table, but we were not coming in saying, this is what we think needs to happen. This was truly a community that says, we will do anything to help support this. Here's where we see amazing strengths. Here's where we as community members feel that there are weaknesses. And here's where we think there's opportunities out there. And there are people there in that group that really knew about opportunities. It was so exciting for all of us. And yet at the same point, I wanted to mention that at no time, at any single meeting, was there ever time that anyone said, oh, well, this bad thing happened, and, or somebody, or ever mentioned a name or anything. It was, I think you set that precedence from the beginning, but it was something that was the group that was there. There were 24, 25 people sitting. There was never once a time where someone said, oh, too bad this happened. It was all about looking into the future, and it was every single moment was spent on talking about how we can work together to be a part of the solution. And what can we possibly do to support? And there were people in that group that sometimes Matt would call on and say, "Hey, I'm getting ready to meet with somebody. Can you help me with some professional questions or some issue? If you wanted to know more about IT or something that how can anyone come into the role as supervisor of a town and know everything about everything?" And I thought, what a wonderful opportunity for the community. So the report is yours. You set up this wonderful new website where anyone who has any ideas for Yorktown can go to Ideas for Yorktown.
Ideas for Yorktown.
YorktownNY.org.
Yep.
So we kind of see that as the beginning of that concept. So let's put a little organization behind that concept, and from here forward, people can add information. We're thrilled that you've asked us to kind of get back together each quarter to kind of see where things are going. Do we still feel like the strengths are the strengths, the weaknesses are the weaknesses? So we'll kind of look at those. So the report is yours. Please, we know that you're going to make it public. We know that you're going to do everything. We just wanted to give a little background as to how we came about it. And everybody's names are in the reports, but I mean, this is just probably half of the group. But it was like you said, we could have stayed for weeks. There were stories we heard about history in Yorktown that we're so excited that I always say Matt. It's just so hard
it's
to say
okay. No,
supervisor
please.
Slater.
No.
Isn't that funny that there's our town supervisor saying, I'm going to find ways that we can, because sharing those stories again builds the passion and it unites all of us. And we're so excited about moving forward with
that first meeting. We came into this and I made it very clear. It's not about problems. It's about solutions. I don't want to hear about problems. I want to hear about solutions and things that we want to do for this town to make it the absolute best town it can be. And then we spent about 2 hours going down this road of Mike Dubofsky. Actually, it was you got a real dose of Yorktown history by one of the guys who've been here for forever. And he was telling us stories that our jaws were dropping. I mean, it was the things that have happened in this town and the things that this town has accomplished and the people who it's produced. Oh yeah. I mean, it's amazing. It really is.
We were like, that's just a wonderful thing to share along the way and through the years. And I'll end on one of the most, I think the strongest things that you shared with us is that everything we're talking about is never about credit. And that it just amazed us because it was never about politics. It's never about credit. It's about how do we work together?
That's right.
How do we move in the right direction? And I truly it's just, I think with all the stuff going on everywhere that I love to see that you always said a community is not about politics. It's about people.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, at the end of the day, we're all neighbors.
We could not agree more.
At the end of the day, we're all neighbors. We have this great idea of this Ideas for Yorktown because it's one of those things where I get tagged on conversations in Facebook. I get emails coming from email addresses I never knew existed that I have access to. But, to continue to get that feedback from the residents to gauge, frankly, what your thoughts are, things that we could be doing better, which is always something that we need to hear about, but also where you think we should go. And this group has been just phenomenal in so many different ways. And to Tristy's point, I mean, I'd be going into meetings on very specific items, and I knew I had 25 to 30 people that I can call someone up. And I can say, hey, I'm going into this meeting. I see Tom Huber, my buddy Tom Huber here. You can thank him for the basketball hoop upstairs, by the way. And we were going in to see Glenn Sullivan. And Tom's the IT director for Synchrony Bank. And I just asked him if I can pick his brain and sit on the meeting, just get his take on it, just so we have a balanced conversation, because I don't pretend to know everything. And when you bring a group of people like this together, you get something so special.
I so believe in this.
Yeah.
One of the things that I hope you do, Matt, is pass this along to the employees of this community, because they need to see this. It is your hopes, your desires, what you feel may not be our greatest strength, but it is from you who live here. And I like to know stuff like this. I think it's important. I think it's important that everybody who works for the town, they're able to share in the good. And I think reading this, I think everyone would want to read it.
And one of the things we had spoken with Matt as well, and I feel badly, but the things we had talked about were that we also like feeling like we're kind of those liaisons, that there's so much that was going on that we would go back in the community and they'd say, oh, nothing's happening with this or that. And we're like, yes, it is.
Right.
We just talked, that we just, so, and it's not, those are not, yes, there's social media, and social media is wonderful, but sometimes you need real human beings that are out in the community that are bringing things back in, saying, here's the worry, versus same thing. And in school, we always we called it the bus stop talk. But we like knowing that you have these, these team members out in the community that, yes, we only get together a couple times a year, but we're listening, and we're listening to you and sharing it, and we're listening from the community and sharing it back, and we appreciate, like we've said, we all. Those are the roles we all want, and now everybody can do that because you set up a way
Because we're
that other
going to
people
have
can
that
listen
email.
and ask
We're going to have
questions
the
and-
email address activated.
And I love that the whole part of concluding social
Get the town
media,
website.
because our youth, they're an integral part as
Yeah.
well, and it's so neat that we were able, in talking to Kieran, to say, so what are we, we were just teasing about like tweeting and all of these other ways, and who's
I was never a
listening.
big Twitter guy
But
until
we
I started
talked
meeting
about
with
the
them.
school superintendent.
Never.
Yeah.
I was
We
one of the
said
ones I wouldn't
our
go to.
school superintendents, when they tweet information,
Yeah.
that all of the school families, every school family is able to gather information, and a lot of the information you're sharing is just it's so important to the families.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lot of it's emergency information that you always knew that you had these great resources, but how do you get it out quickly?
Right. It's all about communication.
Yes.
It's all about communication. I've said it before, communication's a two-way street. And it's not just about what we're projecting out to the community, but you need to have folks in the community, to let them come in and tell you what they're seeing. And if, good, bad, or ugly, it doesn't make a difference, because at the end of the day, if we don't know about it, we can't fix it.
You can't fix
Right.
what you don't know is broken.
It's so important. I've always felt that one of the areas that we did not do well in was communications. And we can do better.
It's all about
And-
solutions.
Uh-huh.
It's all about
And-
solutions. And that's what we're up here trying to do.
Like you're a team. It's great to communicate. It's great to communicate when you know you have everyone's intentions are to help.
Right.
Nobody's intention, not for 1 second, was to put anyone in harm's way, and that's the kind of communication that works. That's honest and it's real.
That's great.
So, and I make well. Does anyone else want to bring up the phone?
Hey, Matt, can this be posted on?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And a few words from Peter.
She said it all.
Okay.
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you, Pete. Very few.
Just to reiterate, I mean, we want to be part of the solution, and I'm here to help.
Oh my God! Thank you.
Yeah,
so
Great.
much.
Great.
That's
Thank
great.
you, folks, so much for
Thank
what
you,
you did.
everyone. Really
And what
means
you
a
do.
lot. And to Councilman Lackern's point, we'll get this up on the web so everyone can read it. It's transparent. We're not hiding anything. And then also we're going to have the email address activated, ideas for Yorktown at yorktownny.org. This way, any ideas that people have, I mean, that's part of the way that we communicate, and also I've been encouraged people to communicate. If you see something in another municipality, if you're traveling out in Iowa and you see something that you love, I mean, that's how Mike Kaplowitz came across the Legacy Ball Field concept.
I knew that.
Because he was out flying over the fields. I mean, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but we can also look for new ideas to unlock the full potential of our community. So that's what we're trying to do. So it's great. And I really appreciate everyone on the community transition team's effort.
Oh my God, this is so great. Valuable.
Okay. Courtesy the floor. Yeah. No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
courtesy the floor.
My agenda.
Swallow it up like paperwork, too.
Go on, Ken.
Ken? Thanks. You don't want one?
Found it.
Just wanted to share something I learned at a meeting I attended at the county on the county's complete count committee for the census.
Order, please.
And that's that in the Westchester Putnam area, the census is going to be hiring something like 6,200 people. And because they found this job market very competitive, their rate of pay, I've heard, is $23 an hour. And they have like part-time, evening, weekend work, as well as, longer hours. So if anybody in the community, it could be for seniors, it could be for a lot of people. If anybody's looking for that little bit of extra work, you can go, there's a website, I just Googled it on my phone, but to see what it was, I just put in Census 2020 jobs, and you go to www.2020census.gov. And that's, scroll down the page till you see jobs, and you could apply right there online.
I think that's great.
Great. Ken, thank you. And thanks for your leadership on the county level as well. And I know you're involved in the census committee that we have here in town. So we appreciate all your help. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Hey, Mark.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mark Lieberman, Wall Street. I may have missed it, but I haven't heard anything new about those vandals that wreaked havoc on the town, and I don't know if you have an update for us.
Anyone else for courtesy of the floor?
Motion to close, courtesy of the floor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We will move on to resolutions. Unless anyone, do you want to
Just as a response to Mark.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry, Mark. Did you say vandalism?
Yeah, there was an
Lieberman?
issue in.
I apologize. I thought I misunderstood you. I thought you had said something else. Did you want to provide a quick?
Yeah, the chief was in with us this evening, and it's still under investigation. What you saw is basically what they have. They're having that enhanced, and they're trying to determine a plate number, and they're still investigating the whole thing. So that's about as much news as that's fit to print at this point. We're not holding anything back or anything like that, but that's basically all we have.
And reward. The reward, too.
Right. We announced
Yes.
the award at our last meeting, $2,500 from Crime
I
Stoppers.
think it's going to come down to somebody who knows something is finally going to need some money, and they're going to drop a dime.
Yep.
But the FBI, the county, and the local community, they are all working together. And as soon as they determine, they'll let us know.
Drop 25, we get 25.
Excellent.
And if
Again,
you know
Mr. Lieberman, my
something-
apologies. I misheard you when you spoke. My apologies.
And if you know something, call it. Say something to the police department or supervisor's office.
I think it took, when we had the vandalism at the pool, I think it took 3 to 4 months. I don't know if it was...
Almost a
Larry,
year,
do you
yeah.
have an idea?
Almost a year, I think.
Yeah, but I could tell you that our PD is not, they're relentless. They are bloodhounds. Oh, yeah. And they will...
They are. They are.
No, absolutely.
They are.
Absolutely. And they will, you know what, they
Sure.
live in our community, they come from our community, they care about our community, and they will not rest until they track this down.
Someone abused our community.
Yeah,
And they're going
absolutely.
to find it. They're
They
gonna find
insulted
it.
everyone in Yorktown.
Yep, they're going to find those people.
Yep.
All right, on to resolutions.
Ready?
I am normally not one to read resolutions, but considering the first one on the agenda is to celebrate someone I consider an American hero, I'd like to read it. And that's to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and celebrate his memory. Whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. devoted his life to strengthening the American character and called on our nation to live up to its founding principles of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all its citizens. And whereas through his determination, spirit, and resolve, Dr. King led one of the greatest movements for equality and freedom in history. And whereas the town of Yorktown wishes to honor the legacy of this great American and remember the ideals for which he fought. And whereas, as we observe Dr. King's birthday, the town encourages all of its residents to celebrate his memory by performing acts of kindness through service to others. Now, therefore, be it resolved that all residents of the town be encouraged to honor Dr. King and celebrate his memory by living out his teachings. Also, next on the agenda for resolutions, establishes the annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. essay contest.
That's great.
And I know that, Councilwoman Roker, you were not here for our meeting last week, but I did bring this up in the work session, something that you and I had a conversation about. And we have a flyer made up here. It is the first annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. essay contest. We'll have these circulated in our local library, across Town Hall, and in our town buildings. We're also working with St. Pat's Elementary School. It was actually their principal who was in my office when we came up with this idea. You never know what comes up in those meetings, as well as our public schools as well. I'm not going to read the resolution, but I will share some more details of the essay contest itself. Dr. King shared his dream for America, and so we're going to be asking our 4th and 5th graders in 250 words or less to share their dreams of our community of Yorktown. You can email entries to supervisor@yorktownny.org. We ask that you place in the subject of the email the MLK essay contest, and the deadline for entries is February 11th, 2020. something I think we're going to get some really great.
You know what? I know people will say, well, it's over, and it's not over. I think that this is such a wonderful, when you called me and talked to me, I am so grateful that we're doing something to honor his memory. Again, someone who believed in talking and working to solve problems.
Right, exactly.
Not standing up there fighting or whatever.
Exactly. Next on the resolutions, authorize the hiring of 4 part-time available assistant fire inspectors. I do want to just add some commentary on that, if I may. That is an action that was taken in 2019 as well, and this has to do with our fire inspections for the town of Yorktown that our building department continues to perform, and we are trying to work through the heavy schedule and eventually automate the fire inspections that run on an annual and every 3-year basis. Next, we're going to authorize supervisor to solicit requests for proposals for general municipal legal services for town attorney. Again, just some commentary, if I may. We have, of course, the interim town attorney, Adam Rodriguez, to our left, your right. Mr. Rodriguez was signed on an interim basis, and this is the next step in that process, which is a request for proposals to see to make sure it's a transparent and fair process, and it also is in line with our procurement policy of the town. From the interim town attorney, authorized supervisor to sign an amendment to the town's license agreement with the Yorktown Volunteer Ambulance Corps. From the town clerk, authorized attendance at the 2020 New York State Town Clerks Association Annual Conference and Training. Also from the town clerk, renew the Oak Ridge Hauling LLC commercial garbage license for 2020. I'm going to skip the next, because I know we have comments and thoughts on that. From the town engineer, approve release of performance bond for Bonfiglio, which is on Baldwin Road. Also from town engineer, approve reduction of performance bond for Underhill Kier retail and office site development. From the finance department, authorize attendance at the 2020 New York State Government Finance Officers Association Annual Conference and Training.
I had one question on that, Supervisor. Is it wise of us to send all 3 of our higher-ranked people out of the office for those 3 days?
Is that a required?
It's the same thing that it's going every year.
They go every
You'd
year.
have to ask Pat that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Tommy, I understand your concern for make sure that the process continues.
Continues, yeah.
But she speaks to them both in the morning and in the evening.
Oh, so they have communication.
And they have a phone, yeah.
But they can't sign or anything like that.
I believe that she gives them temporary authority
Okay.
to sign.
All right. Very good.
I believe I would have temporary authority to sign.
Yeah,
as
you
well
would.
as
All right.
supervisor. So I would
You would.
I would be able to approve
Yeah.
expenditures, and we'll work directly with our comptroller to make sure that those safeguards are in place.
Okay.
While they are away. From the Parks and Recreation Department, award bid for Park and Recreation brochure. Resolved, I'll just read at the bottom, that the lowest bidder, including cover design and layout, Chase Press, will be awarded the 2020 program brochure bid. From the Police Department, authorized Police Department employee to attend training seminar. And from the Water Department, authorized the Yorktown Water Department to purchase a John Deere 310 SL HL backhoe loader pursuant to the New York State contract for heavy equipment from John Deere Shared Services, Inc., and one model RB 100G. Did I say that right?
Yes,
Councilman?
you did.
Thank you. Hydraulic hammer for the backhoe loader from RB Hammers Corp. for a total cost of $120,073.87. These were budgeted expenditures that were passed in the budget. Do I have a motion to pass?
So moved.
Second.
Said resolution. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Now, I'd like to return back, if we can, to one of the resolutions from the town clerk regarding Halleck's Mill Sewer District. The resolution reads to approve order calling the public hearing for the establishment of the Halleck's Mill Sewer District extension. I'd like to have a discussion with the board members on this. Again, we had a discussion last week at our work session meeting with our town engineer, Mr. Quinn, and it was raised that there were concerns from Westchester County, who holds the purse strings in this case because they are holding a $10 million fund that the town had been appropriated through the East Hudson funds. And I said in my report at the end that Mr. Quinn and I on Wednesday had a conference call with DEP, who is the ones who actually provide that funding.
Right.
And DEP raised similar concerns that the county has as well. Now, the DEP did state that they believed it was I believe the term they used was it was a qualifiable project, which I understand, but, and there's always that but, as they said to us, they do have some similar concerns to our partners in the county level. So the town engineer did send over requested data from the town to DEP. I mean, the biggest concern is that they're putting $10 million into the ground for the town of Yorktown, and they expect, frankly, that people are going to hook up. And it's not really a question of if, it's a question of when.
That's big. That's big.
Right.
Because never before have we done that.
I know.
And so essentially you're saying to people, no, you don't have the ability to say no, to just have it there.
According to the code, which I was unaware of until this conversation, Yorktown has a law that mandates hookup 60 to 90 days.
After when?
After the pipe's laid in the ground.
And those who don't want it?
That's what the DEP had cited on our conference call.
That's so bizarre because when I moved here, my fields went crazy, and the guy came down and said, "Why don't you just look into the sewer?" And the people had lived there for 10 years, and I said, "Well, why didn't they hook in?"
Right.
And he said, "They're cheap."
So I think
There's no sewer police probably to police that.
Right.
Well, that's a big
So this
deal.
so my concern remains, as we said last week,
How do we do that?
is if we change the financing to the project, it's going to require. Correct me if I'm wrong, Diana.
That has to be placed in the resolution, but if you're going to change it, say, from 14 to 20, then yes, you have to start over again.
Change the amount of money.
Well, there's a question of financing, and what happens if there's some proposals and alternatives that have been proposed, but all the ones that we've been given change the financing of the project, which essentially would require another petition to go out to the community. So we're still working through this process.
You're going to ask for more money? Oh my God, we thought
Ask for
14
more.
was a lot.
Essentially what one of the solutions would be was to take 9 out of the 10,
Okay.
but basically bond for 5.
Okay.
But that changes the financing of the project, which would then in turn
Nullify the survey.
nullify the petition, and we'd have to go back out to petition a third time. Well, technically a second. I call it a third time. So we're trying to work this out. That's why I'm a bit hesitant in this case. I think it may be more prudent for us to put this on the work session agenda, and have Mr. Quinn join us next week to provide hopefully more information that we can make a better decision on.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I do, in full transparency, I understand from the clerk's office's standpoint, we're on a time clock, if I'm not mistaken.
For the public hearing to schedule it, we're on a time clock to advertise, so we're going to have to work out the details of when you want to put it on there, unless you're going to go into March.
Right.
No, it's not.
That's more
it's not a
flexible.
mandatory.
Right.
It's not
Your
mandatory.
timeline's a bit
My
more
time's
flexible.
different, yeah.
Okay, good.
You know what? I think Tom Meyer should be here because essentially what you're saying, everything has changed from what it was when last I sat here to what it is now. I think the public has got to know about that. That's a big deal.
Now, I have said, and I will continue, I'm not looking to re-kick. I'm not looking to do that. I think that we've gotten this project very far down the road.
We're almost
However,
there.
Now we're got a few more hurdles that have been unexpectedly thrown in our path. I just have concerns about moving this particular resolution forward without a more extensive conversation.
Motion to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So we will table that resolution, and we will add the Halleck's Mills Sewer District extension issue to the work session for next week, where we can have a greater detailed conversation with Mr. Quinn about hopefully the data that he provided was sufficient enough to DEP, essentially showing what our rate of connection is as a town. But obviously, that's the sticking point right now.
Are we able to get anyone from DEP up here, or that wouldn't be?
To the meeting?
Yeah.
We can request. I've got no problem requesting that.
Might be a worthwhile endeavor to see where somewhere there was a miscommunication. Because
this doesn't make sense. It just doesn't.
Right.
We were at the East of Hudson meeting 2 weeks ago, and I had Westchester County planners say the same thing, which I don't understand. What changed?
So if we don't move it, are we going to lose $10 million?
So there is a question of whether I don't believe personally at this point in time. I don't think that we lose the $10 million. However, we're creating a dam in a lot of aspects, especially for other municipalities, because they're not going to replenish the fund. DEP won't replenish the fund until we spend everything down, and so we have a lot of other municipalities who are trying to address their own issues, but they're not going to get any funding until, frankly, Yorktown and Somers move their ball.
This is really new. If you read state law on these kinds of districts, it says you don't have to be a person. You don't have to hook up, and
Alice, I think the problem. Well, if there's a law on it in our books, then it is there. But the problem is more that they don't want to invest. So if they invest $10 million for 350 houses, it's a certain amount. Now, if only 200 houses take it, or 175, you just pay double.
But I will say, though,
makes sense. They want the
I understand their position. I get it, but at the same time, and this was Mr. Quinn's argument on our conference call with DEP, that and I agree, the results from the petition show an overwhelming support of the project, and I think that Mr. Quinn was trying to dive deeper to see who returned in the positive. The biggest concern obviously is are folks who are going to have to deal with a forced pump.
Right.
Because that's the most expensive apparatus. Mm-hmm. And so we're trying to gauge from the returns what that percentage number is. Okay. And if we are showing sufficient support amongst those property owners and those parcels, hopefully that's enough to convince the DEP and the county to allow us to continue to move forward. I'm not looking to re-kick. I think we have to figure out a solution here with the current financing in place as best we can.
Possibly the thing to do at this point would be to task Mr. Quinn with going out. There's about 70 that need to be have a pump up or a pressure system to find out if they are going to be available to hook up or not.
I agree.
And I mean, it's only 70 homes to knock on the doors.
That was one of the options that we were given, was basically surveying the 70 doors,
the
70 parcels, and to see what the response is.
That makes sense.
It does, but I think what we're hoping is that we provided enough data that sufficiently showed the rate that Yorktown homeowners do connect when given that opportunity is actually pretty high. So we're hoping that's enough just from that natural data, rather than surveying those specific 70 people and seeing what we come back with. So we'll have a greater conversation with Mr. Quinn here next week.
Okay.
We can ask if we can get a DEP representative to further.
It might be a little better to have them
I
on.
hear what they're saying, and it makes sense that they want the biggest bang for their buck. But the question I have is, can you force someone to do that?
May I just say something?
Yes, Councilman Patel.
Let me just say, there was some state spending a lot of money upstate, to buy more land to provide potable water to the New York City.
Right.
And they have a vested interest, and we like to have, because if we participate, we're going to do good thing for them and us together.
Right.
And so I don't know whether any money can come from that kind of an investment that the state is making it, because we are using more water than what's available to us right away, and tomorrow is going to need more,
Yeah.
So we have to look into that, because 2 years ago we were talking about we're going to invest $40 million, and everybody, I don't know, where are those numbers came for, and who was adding up the numbers. $40 million. Everybody have whole town has a chance to hook up. And so people think that, oh, I pay the taxes, I mean, why don't I get the free sewer?
Right, because
So
that's the case.
a
You do have
problem.
people who are paying sewer taxes who don't have sewers.
Yeah.
Which is so anyway. So I think we have to have a greater conversation. So we did make the motion and it passed that we're going to table this. That I believe is the last item on the agenda, and so we are going to make before I make a motion to adjourn. Actually,
Oh,
I do think that there is something
let me just check and see if that's available.
in.
You know, man, I've never heard of this.
I'll tell you.
Let's talk.
So we're auditioning for our Yorktown community.
Ed, have I told you yet today I hate you?
Let's sing.
Once again, it is Councilman Diana's birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Annie.
Happy birthday to you.
Yay!
All right.
How old are you now?
Actually, if you'll notice, sitting in the back is one of our fire commissioners. We were actually told that in a crowded room you could
my God.
you could not light as many candles as you would need for Tommy's cake.
Okay, all right.
Be sure to ensure that didn't happen.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you
I have
very
a question.
much.
Have a great rest of your birthday.
I gotta get some.
Thank
Can I
you,
say
thank
something?
you.
I gotta say something. Boy Scout, please come
Wait,
here
give me the gavel.
and ask the question: why do you have a birthday and why are you here? Okay, please come here and tell us. Ask us any
I
question.
thought we were
you
letting
wanna
them
ask.
home early so they can get
No,
some sleep.
But nobody even care for them. You know, they gotta go to home.
This is great. This is unbelievable.
Tell us a question,
Thank you.
please. Ask us something, whatever you want to ask, whatever you saw today. Okay. Ask anything you listen or from your own mind. What do you wanna do?
Anything it can do with his cake, too.
Yeah.
You want a piece of cake before you go home?
It's a good move.
He does.
Yeah, I see.
He's saying
majority
no.
rule.
The guy in the
I see-
middle.
I
Yeah.
see one no and two yeses, so we'll take it.
No, what you learned today, which is requirement for citizenship in a community, right? So ask any question, you know, what is our function or what you learned today. That's it. Very short.
I guess if I had to ask any question, I'd probably ask, how do you decide whether or not you're ready to answer or make like a verdict on an issue? Like, how do you know if you have enough information for a topic?
It's a great question.
Yeah, good question. Yeah.
And
Who wants to
sometimes
go first
we're not always sure.
Right.
When you see it on the agenda, we've talked about it. We should have talked about it before.
Right.
Because it's very difficult to get a new resolution on the agenda that you've not talked about, you don't know about. And I tend not to want to vote for those things.
And I think you saw that today with the sewer district.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and so we were able to make the decision to table that vote to another week, so we can gain more information and do more of our homework.
So, and it was mentioned before, like with the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. essay contest, we actually had a work session last week. So we have 4 meetings a month, and they alternate between a board meeting, which is today, and a work session. So at the work session, you will talk about your things for the board meeting, although some of them could be, just administrative. So some of the, like today, we released a bond. You don't really need to talk much about that because that's figured out administratively by the department heads. The other stuff. So there was something here about a printing of our Parks and Recreation catalog. So that went through a bidding process. We had the results of the bids outlined, and the recommendation of that department head to say, hey, this is where we'd like to go, with the most responsible bidder with the least amount of money.
And we can make the new law or amend it, not bend it. Amend it means to improve it, either negative or positive, depending on input from the community over here. So thank you for coming, and a winner never quit, okay? You're almost there. One more up, okay?
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Actually, I have a question for you guys before you go. What did you learn today? Was there anything that stood out?
Tom likes chocolate cake.
I like chocolate cake.
Right.
My man.
No, there has to be something today. There was a lot presented. What stood out to you? Go on,
So, I wrote about the vaping epidemic because it's something that I've actually seen personally going around. So, I pretty much wrote my opinion about it, and I wrote that kids need to talk to each other about it because they're not going to listen to people that are older than them if they already haven't.
Very good.
Really very
Very good.
When you,
Thank you.
yeah, that's great. When you're looking into that, the CDC just released an interesting, new interesting outtake on it based on a survey or a study done in England. So you might want to look into that and just see where it goes. And they agree with the epidemic and all, but they weigh out versus actually smoking cigarettes. So it's kind of interesting. What did you learn today? What impressed you, I should say, or what impressed upon you?
Supposed to hate you or him?
There was a lot that was going on, and the end sort of confused me. Like, you were kind of arguing at the end and talking amongst yourselves. What were you talking about exactly?
The sewer
Oh, so yeah, so we were discussing. So we have we've been trying to expand a sewer district. So we give about 315 homes the opportunity to transition from septic to sewers. And right now we're trying to figure out the proper way of moving that project forward. And so we had new information that was provided at our last meeting. And so we were discussing how we wanted to proceed and share, basically having a discussion about what we thought the best direction for us to go in. And ultimately what we decided was to table or postpone the vote that was before us so we can have a more in-depth conversation with our town engineer, who's the individual who oversees that specific piece of our town government.
The reason we're doing the sewering is for your generation.
Mm-hmm.
So that you will be able to continue to have clean water.
That cake smells good.
It does.
And hopefully we'll be able to make this happen because many people have wanted the new sewer districts for years,
Mm-hmm.
and the town has wanted to do it because it does help with the environment, and with a lot of luck.
Right. Well, we're going to keep pushing.
Yeah.
We're going to keep pushing. So.
And I might add that there's a difference between discussion, arguing. Watch a couple more board meetings.
Yeah.
We weren't arguing.
Yeah, we were just that was mild.
That was not. We're nice.
Great. Well, listen, thanks so much for coming. Really do appreciate it.
Thanks, guys, and good luck to you.
Enjoy.
Have a piece of
Yeah,
cake.
come up here and have some chocolate cake.
Yep.
We need a knife.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
It's cake time.